Good day, everyone. I am Cheryl P. Bautista, a second-year MAED student. I will be presenting about formalism. What is formalism? Formalism is a 20th century Russian school of literary criticism. It analyzes, interprets, or evaluates the literary text not only on the basis of grammar and syntax, but also on the basis of literary devices such as meter and figures of speech. The formalist approach reduces the importance of a text's historical, biographical, and cultural contexts. So it does not deal on when was the literary piece written, who wrote it, and its cultural contexts. Edward Estlin or E. E. Cummings experimented radically with form, punctuation, spelling, and syntax, abandoning traditional techniques and structure to create a new and highly idiosyncratic means of poetic expressions. At the time of his death in 1962, he was the second most widely read poet in the United States after Robert Frost. Let's talk about the history of formalism. Formalism is a dominant mode of academic literary study in the United Kingdom and USA from the end of Second World War through the end of 1970s, particularly the formalism of the New Critics by I.A. Richards, John Crow Ransom, and T.S. Eliot. It began in two groups. The first one is the Moscow Linguist Circle, led by Roman Jacobson, founded in 1915. The second one is the Society for the Study of Poetic Language, or OPOYAS, led by Viktor Skolovsky in 1916. Let's talk about the characteristics of formalism. They both stressed the importance of form and technique over content. Russian formalism considers literature as a special use of language, and it is devoted to the analysis of form or howness alone. So literature is the distortion or violation of day-to-day language. They focused on the formal aspects of literature rather than its content. Formalists focus on theory function. It also focuses on texture of literary functions. They were also close to text and language rather than society and traditions. It viewed literature primarily as a specialized mode of language and proposes a fundamental opposition between literary and ordinary use of language. Viktor Skolovsky, who lived from 1893 to 1984, introduced the concept of defamiliarization in his essay Art as Technique in 1916. Defamiliarization means making it strange, or it is the process of presenting a common thing in an uncommon way to destroy the familiar perception. Defamiliarization or estrangement or ostraneny. It encourages people to see common things as strange, wild, or unfamiliar. Defamiliarizing what is known in order to know it differently or more deeply. Another is John Mukarovsky, who lived from 1891 to 1975. He introduced the concept of foregrounding in his essay Standard Language and Poetic Language. Foregrounding is the process of automatization. The formalist observes the physical structure of a text, punctuations, the marks, and the graphs. As a conclusion, formalism is a literary criticism that considers form and technique as its tool to treat the literary text, not its content. How something is said is the subject matter of it. It doesn't consider what is said. In other words, the text, its form, and structure are everything, not the tradition, not the circumstances, and not the society. The piece assigned for formalism is the movie Slumdog Millionaire. Slumdog Millionaire is a 2008 British drama film that is a loose adaptation of the novel Q&A in 2005 by Indian author Vikas Swarup. Slumdog Millionaire is a story of a young, homeless orphan named Jamal Malik who lives in the slums of Mumbai in India and how he became a millionaire. The film starts off with a question that is presented to the viewers. This is the question. Jamal Malik is one question away from winning 20 million rupees. How did he do it? There are four options presented. Letter A, he cheated. B, he's lucky. C, he is a genius. And D, it is written. It is a good way. It is a good starting point for a movie because the whole film is based on finding the answer to this question. At the end of the film, the answer to that question was revealed, whether it was A, B, C, or D. In the beginning of the film, Jamal was one question away from the grand prize of 20 million rupees in the game show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. But he was detained and tortured by the police because he was accused of cheating. They could not believe that a slumdog like him was able to answer the different questions in the game show. So they can't believe that Jamal got that far in the game without cheating since he is a simple kid or slumdog with very little education. To prove that he did not cheat, Jamal tells the story of his life in the slum where he and his brother grew up and of Latika, the love of his life. He recounts the many incidents in his life through flashbacks that prove him with each answer to the questions in the game. Jamal is then able to prove himself innocent and was allowed to go back on the show the next day to answer the final question. The final question, ironically, is the one question he never knew the answer to, which was even mentioned in the scene in his childhood. Jamal still manages to get the last and final question correctly, even when he did not know the answer. He is reunited with the love of his life, Latika, at the end of the film and becomes a millionaire as well, saved from the poor life. I also researched about formalist film theory since the piece is a film. So this is what I got. Formalist film theory is an approach to film theory that is focused on the formal or technical elements of a film. Example, the lighting, the scoring, sound and set design, the use of color, shot composition, and editing. Formalism, at its most general, considers the synthesis or lack of synthesis of the multiple elements of film production and the effects, emotional and intellectual, of that synthesis and of the individual elements. For the movie Slumdog Millionaire, the formal elements that I focused on were the flashbacks, the different camera angle shots, and the sound or music. For let's deal first with the flashback. So it was mentioned earlier that there were a lot of flashbacks in the movie. The audience were able to know how Jamal was able to answer the questions correctly through flashbacks in the movie. Jamal is able to narrate the story of his life through many flashbacks throughout the movie. As the film progresses in the present, Jamal explains certain aspects of his life, of what he has experienced, to explain to his interrogators, the policemen, how he knew the answers to all the questions in the game show. The present scene in the movie is at the police station where Jamal was being interrogated, and then flashbacks transition the film to the game show where he answered each question correctly, and then transitioning to a scene back in Jamal's youth to prove how he knew the answer to the questions. At the end of the film, when all flashbacks are shown, one can understand how Jamal got on the show and how he was able to answer all the questions. The flashbacks of Jamal's past also helped to show the contrast between him as a child and the man he is today. It is visually clear how time has changed by the quality of Jamal's appearance. As a child, he is shown in ragged clothes, covered in dirt with messy hair, whereas the present Jamal is shown to be clean, with his hair tidy, and normal, clean clothes. The flashbacks helped give a connection between the viewers and Jamal's character as they are able to see what life was like growing up for Jamal. The next formal element is the different camera angle shots. The film starts with a close-up shot of the police officer who is sitting on the opposite side of Jamal when he was tortured and questioned after being accused of cheating on the game show. This shot of the police officer, whose whole face is being shown on the scene, lets the viewer see his true expression of frustration and anger. Another example of a close-up shot that is used is near the end of the show when Jamal is about to answer the final question on the game show. This shot shows viewers the pressure that Jamal was under at that time, and this created tension. Uh, we are able to see that he is worried and is not sure if he is right or wrong. The third formal element is the sound or music. The use of different sound and music in the film definitely help produce meaning and affects the experience of viewing. One particular scene where sound is also very important is when viewers can hear the sound of general hustle and bustle in the slums in one of Jamal's first flashback. One can hear the sounds of persons talking, laughing, and water splashing from women washing clothes. In addition to sound, there is also the use of music, which has a great effect in storytelling. A few different soundtracks were used to help transition from one scene to the next at some times and set the mood of the viewers. The different formal elements, such as the flashbacks, the different camera angle shots, and the sound or the music, I guess, are instruments for the movie to win several awards, such as the Best Picture Award. That's all about formalism and the movie Slumdog Millionaire. Thank you so much for viewing.